And I remember when Auntie was diagnosed with the first time with cancer in 2006. It came as a terrible shock. She went for a routine check and she found out that she had to seek treatment. And her first thought at that time, amidst all that chaos and stress, was to go to Swami, to go to Prashanthi Nilayam to seek treatment. And I fully supported her, along with many of us in the center, that she go and seek advice from a doctor in the super specialty hospital. She was very blessed because this doctor then said that she could first have a minor surgery in a hospital in Bangalore where he was consulting in a private capacity. And he said that the hospital would be able to do this procedure with care, and she will be in good hands. And when she informed me of this, she had gone to India ahead of time, and she informed me of this one evening before. And I made a decision on the spot to say, I will come, I'll be there with you. And I flew the next evening to be with Auntie in Bangalore. And the reason I share this is because even then, the way Auntie looked at her illness was not something that was controlling her. She knew that Swami was in full control of her and her illness, and he will take very, very good care of her. So we went to Bangalore. We met with Auntie Vasantha, who took very good care of us. She had a surgery, and it will take another week before the results would come out. So during that time, we decided to take a taxi to Prashanthi Nilayam to spend a week in Swami's presence and to celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi. A week later, we come back to Bangalore, having spent a few days in his divine presence, and Auntie Vasantha greeted us with a beautiful Ganesha that we could then pray and submerge in the Samudra back in Singapore. Auntie got her results. It was not good news. The doctor said to go back and seek treatment in Singapore. We came back and we made a celebration of it, of bringing Ganesha to Sentosa to submerge him in the sea over there. Auntie enjoyed every little moment of this journey, even though she was going through a lot of pain. She knew that Swami was right there with her, in her, around her, and she felt his presence through all of us, her family, her dear Sai sisters and brothers, and most importantly, Swami's work. That was so many years ago. Is it 2006 to 2022? And there have been many other challenges along the way for Auntie. The cancer receded, we won. Swami took very, very good care of her, and she remained a happy and contented person. And she saw her role in every sphere that she was in, whether it was in her family, in the center, with the Sai organization, as one where she would give back. So she really went deeply into a lot of healing. So she would look for all sort of natural ways to keep healthy. She would cook, and that was good for us because she would cook a lot for all of us to enjoy. And she would specifically ask each one of us, what would you like to eat? Where are you now? Would you like to come over after work? You look really tired. Are you not feeling well? So Auntie, despite her illness, always looked out for each and every one of us. And we saw her home and her hospitality as a refuge. I would call her at 5 p.m. on a work day and say, Auntie, I'm really tired. I really want to eat some warm food. And she would say, come right over. And I would go over and have dinner with her, have a cup of chai and chat and go home feeling very, very contented and happy, having been listened to. Most of our relationship, I would say, is with Swami as the center. Over the years, the number of times we have gotten into a lot of adventures. We got into a lot of adventures together because our focus was on Sai. We went to Thailand, we went to Australia to do the diploma in human values. We went and did a lot of seva, including Grama Seva in Puttaparthi and the surrounding villages. We did Western Canteen Seva. Over in Singapore, it was this massive cooking that we undertook as part of the migrant workers service that we did. And I remember in all of that time, while there was a lot of work, really a lot of physical work, and moments of stress, there was always laughter. And this is what I remember. Auntie had a very infectious laughter. And often when she would get upset or angry about something, we will find a way to make her laugh. And I think that was the antidote to life and to her whole illness. How do we go through life when challenges are right in front of us? We are in the midst of a lot of challenges. Is to be able to put our faith in Swami and to be able to look at the brighter side. Sometimes we can't do it alone. We need someone to remind us, yes, it is really tough. Yes, it's really weird, but let's create some fun for ourselves. And throughout my time in the center and now, I feel that this is the main value that we have all learned. We journey together, we laugh together, we eat together, and we pray together, and Swami is always taking care of all of us. One of the things I've been thinking about a lot through Auntie's recent illness and her passing, it's so odd to even say that, is the Buddhist prayer. Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami, Ekam Saranam Gacchami. Auntie surrendered to Swami. Auntie surrendered to his values and his teachings. Auntie took refuge in the Sangha, that is all of us, and her family. Auntie has lived her truth and has merged with the truth. She is never far away. She is never far away. She's always with us. And in doing Swami's work, I will always rely on the strength and the courage that Auntie showed all of us.
Do every act to please God out of love and not out of compulsion. Divinize every act. The Lord declares in the Gita, having been born in this transient and unhappy world, worship me. Krishna called upon Arjuna to stand up and face the battle, reminding him of what was in store for the evil-minded Kauravas. He adjured Arjuna to have full faith in him and do his duty. Arjuna declared, Karishe vachanam tava, I shall do as you bid me. Then Krishna declared, you have now become my true devotee.
Auntie was every bit a warrior. She divinized a role in whichever area that she was in, or whichever role that she was given. As daughter to her mother, as a sibling, akka to her siblings, as auntie to us, as a leader in the Sai organization. She divinized a role through various small actions and in always ensuring that she remained strong. I must say that at different points in time, we used to refer to her with different names. Sometimes we called her a warrior, sometimes a lioness, and she always had that compassion mixed with a lot of courage. I wanted to say that cancer did not define her. Cancer made her grow beyond her means, and she did not see it as something that will keep her lying in bed and being a patient. She never wanted to be a patient. and she ensured that she fully was in control of her treatment, of her medication, of how she was going to live her life. Often she would call and say after treatment, Renga, I would like to eat this, or Banju, can you buy me that? And we would gladly do so. And sometimes it's not about what she wanted to eat. It is the fact that she would reach out to us. Being a very fiercely independent woman, being sick and relying on others was not her thing. She really wanted to show that she could be strong throughout, and she did. She was strong throughout her many years of journey. So when I say cancer did not define her, cancer enhanced who she was. So she would go back to her love for cooking, her love for natural medicine, her love for people, her love for Swami, her love for Seva. And she would channel all her strength through those ways so that she could gain strength from those activities. That is what I saw. Auntie would go for a chemo, and 2 days later she would have a meeting and she would attend the meeting. Before Zoom, she would actually get ready and go out physically for that meeting, which seemed impossible when we first started on this journey. But the strength that she gained from these interactions, from knowing that she was not putting herself first, she was putting others first and herself last, as Swami has shown us, that she gained a lot of strength and courage. In her moments where she felt vulnerable, yes, we were all there for her. And it was not something that she felt bad about. Auntie to me was very real in all her emotions, in all the ways that she engaged with all of us.
Thank you very much for that very beautiful sharing, Sister Ranga. Straight from the heart. Sister Vasantha was never a warrior. She was a warrior, a lioness, and much more than that. To share more on Sister Vasantha, it gives me pleasure to welcome Sister Sandra, who has been with the center since the mid-90s and has been an active SSE guru and Sevadal ever since. Sister Sandra, please.
Sai Ram, everyone. I'll just go straight into this. I wrote this out and I have not memorized, so I'm going to refer to this, so please don't mind. I've spent a good part of my life, as you can tell from the white hair, in the center, in Swami's mission. Throughout this time, I have been blessed to have worked alongside so many earnest and ardent devotees of Swami. And Sister Vasantha is certainly one of them. I knew Auntie right from the time she stepped into the center, which was around the same time I started attending center activities. She became an elder sister, a mentor, an advisor, and sometimes very much a mother to the many young women in the center. There is a picture for this. Yes, I wanted to show these things because this part, when I was thinking about what I wanted to say, and this was sort of assigned to me also because I wanted to look back into the past and see where we started and how it all started. And that's pretty much what my sharing is going to be. And if you see in the picture all these young women, you will see Sister Renga there, just behind Auntie, and Sister Usha next to Auntie. And I am next to, behind Usha with Shanta. And the girls around us are all Nesam is on the other side, and then the other girls are all our students from Group 3. Right, and this is one of the Group 3 camps that we had. And so I'd say that Auntie, the title Auntie certainly fitted the role that she played in the center that was so full of young people. And as Auntie, she brought a certain quality to the work that took place in that in our center, and what is that quality? And if I asked you to put down a list of words to describe Sister Vasantha, in fact, we all did that, I'm quite certain that the word fiery or fierce would appear in that list. Agree? And that is one way to describe that quality that she had in her. But when I look back now, I can see that this fierce quality is not just about her temper, her quick temper, or her loud voice, Sai Ram, which we are all very familiar with. It is a fire arising from a sense of righteousness about doing things in the correct way for a greater vision. And this fire of righteousness was already burning in Auntie even before she began to wear the sai white and white. In her life before the center, she was part of another organization, the National Trades Union Congress, NTUC for short, and apparently she had been given an interesting nickname. She was called the Walking Fire. I think it fits her, right? And we found a copy of her welcome address as chairperson NTUC Women's Program Committee at a conference entitled Towards Greater Participation of Women in Trade Unions. This was held in October 1989. Some of the conference speakers and participants will be familiar to all of us. Mr. Ong Teng Cheong, then the second Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, and Mrs. Yu Fu Yee Shun, who recently retired from politics. We were looking through them. We were thrilled to find this document in the National Library archives, together with some photos of Sister Vasantha that you just saw during a Union Days. So when I think about it, it is clear now that Auntie's passion, Auntie's determination, her commitment were the things that made her so fiery. So these things drove her to push herself and others to do the right thing in the right way. And these were the very same qualities that she brought into the center, the organization, and every role that she took on. I feel like I'm Auntie, standing here just like the mic. Okay, so Auntie being Auntie, she ensured she involved her whole family in the center activities. That was the way she made sure everyone had a chance to be part of Swami's mission in some way or the other. So you can see there, right? Her mother cooked for Seva activities, such as providing warm, nourishing meals for foreign workers, for residents in welfare homes. Not only that, she also sewed the Dike Bharat costumes for the wonderful Dike Bharat performance that we had. Sister Manju, her sister, has also been a guru in the Sai Spiritual Education Program for 20 over years. Sister Ruby, Vasantha's second sister, has contributed tremendously to SSE. Her brother Shekhar is a familiar face to many of us, and he helps organize service activities. And Brother Siva, her husband, took part in center activities. Naresh, her son, nephews, Vignesh, Linkesh, were students in the SSE program. They sang bhajan, they helped it in center activities. It was a family effort. And that was what the center was for Auntie, an extension of her family. And in this family, Auntie played a key role in nurturing, especially the sisters in the center, to become leaders in our own right, in different ways. Auntie's gung-ho nature and can-do spirit in organizing center activities and confidently sharing her views and ideas certainly made her a role model for the rest of us. And when I say rest of us, I think it's all the sisters, so many of us. I speak for the sisters here and those who have come in the center. I think there are some of us who have come back. I haven't seen them for some time. I think you know that in a way, Auntie represented all of us, spoke for us, protected us, guided us, right? And we worked alongside the brothers in the center, whether it was carrying chairs, moving speakers, washing big pots and pans, planning service activities with equal energy, strength, and gusto. There's so much we want to say about Auntie, right? There's so much that we can say. I wanted to say that Auntie, being female, right, never saw herself, of course, as female. I think that's one thing that was beautiful about her. She never limited herself that way. And in that way, she gave us the opportunity and gave us the way, the platform, a view of how it is to not limit ourselves. And that's what Swami told us in that one interview. he basically told us, when you think you're a woman, you feel that way. You think you're male, you think that way, but think of yourself as a person, as an individual. He didn't say that, but that was my interpretation. Do not see yourself. Do not limit yourself. And that's what I think Auntie did. She never limited herself, no others. So I conclude my part with a recollection by Brother Sundar through video. He's very shy. He's a familiar face to many of us here. He is a core member of this center, very much respected and very much loved by many. When I say Brother Sundar, please don't expect him to walk here. I told you he's very shy, so it's on video. Okay? Sai Ram, thank you.
When Auntie came to the center, I still remember we were having bhajans at the multipurpose hall. Then I saw the family coming in. You're all coming in, right? Then somehow, right? Because to me, every time when I attend bhajans, I will just look at the work. We need people. We need to draw people to the organization so that when we have more people, then we can do a lot of things for the organization. So I used to identify. So the moment Auntie stepped in, I already observed, right? And then I used to target people, you know. I used to ask people, hey, you go and talk to that person. So I will send after the bhajans. So I noticed that she came, she was wearing a yellow Punjabi suit. And then her husband was there, then the others were there. So I remember telling Reddy and even some of them, I said, okay, go and get that lady in the yellow Punjabi suit. Okay? Go and talk to her. She's an unpolished diamond. The organization will benefit, you know. So that's how we started. That's how either Renga or Reddy or some people went and talked to her. But I not only Sister Vasantha alone, Auntie alone, it is also the husband, the other people who came. I think we normally that's what we do, you know. So I'm so glad, right, that thought, the action, draw her into the center, and as a result, right, she's one of the pillar of strength, you know, in our center and organization.
Thank you very much, Sister Sandra and Brother Sundar, for that sharing. Brother Sundar, you don't have to be shy. Please, say hi to everyone. Yes, that's another diamond, actually. So we finally have More Love, More Service. And this rendition of this familiar English bhajan is by Talmens, a group of young adults from Educare. This is from their CD in the early 2000s, and Auntie Vasantha was one of their staunch supporters. More love, more service. And that was More Love, More Service by Talmans. Let's give them a big round of applause. And now, to talk about more love and more service, it gives me great pleasure to welcome an inspiring JC lecturer who is very well loved by her students. She's been with the center since 1992, and she's been active as a guru, a bhajan singer, and a sevadal. And she's none other than Sister Usha.
Thank you, Brother Mani. He said he'll do a few cracks about my profession. I don't think I'm the most popular or well-loved JC teacher here. My ex-student here will testify to that. Okay, it's a bit tall. Okay, thanks, Bhavani. Actually, I can do it. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, Sai Ram, everyone. Wow. How does one continue from this? It's like we've almost seen all of Auntie's life already, but there's a lot more to share. The section I'm going to share on, if you look at the picture, you'll see Auntie surrounded by something she loved so much, right? I think we all do, right? I'm talking about food, okay? I think a number of times we have gone out together to eat, try new dishes. Auntie loved to try new dishes all the time. It was just one of her favorite pastimes. I think, but the other thing that she loved to do even more was to cook for others. And that's what I want to focus on a little bit in this segment. Auntie, I think we can't even count. I think how many of you here have not had Auntie's food? Her biryanis, her, delicious noodles, she'll make all kinds of delicious food. And in fact, we all miss her cooking a lot at this point. With Auntie's cooking, maybe I just go back to what Swami says, right? Swami talks a lot about the purity of the food that we eat, right? The person who cooks the food makes a lot of difference to the quality of the food, right? And Swami always says to eat the right food. With Auntie, right, I think there was no doubt that when we ate her food, it was very, very pure and delicious. Because when she cooks, right, on top of all the visible ingredients that go in, right, were the ingredients of love, perfection, passion, and so much of joy. She loved to cook. And I think with those ingredients, those secret ingredients, you can't go wrong. Sorry, Sandra had one thing, I have two. It's a sign of the age catching up, trying to remember all these things. Yeah? So, what did Auntie cook? When did Auntie cook? Who did Auntie cook for? I think there's so many people that she's cooked for, actually. Uncountable are the times that she's cooked for people when they're not well. One example is myself, right? When I was having COVID in April this year, she sent food and via Grab, of course, right, to my place twice. And I think the beauty of what Auntie does with the cooking is that it's not just, okay, I've cooked and I've sent it. She will call to ask, how was the food? Was it okay? Do you need anything else? That is Auntie, the perfection in everything that she does. Or somebody who craves a particular dish. I remember, I think it was Brother Raj, son Pranav, right? You like Auntie's chicken rice, right? Vegetarian chicken rice. Yeah, and Brother Raj's family is not a family that maybe eats a lot of mock items. So Auntie specially cooked chicken rice and sent it for Pranav to eat. This is Auntie, right? For our camps, I think you saw some camp photographs there. SSC Group 3 camps. She would always sit down with the gurus, right, with all of us and discuss what menu can we have for the camps. In fact, she used to scold the gurus when we said that, Auntie, I think we'll buy this year. We'll just order something from outside. She'll say, don't you dare to buy outside. I'll cook for you all. That was Auntie, right? She was fierce even then, okay? But that fierceness was for a reason, right? She wanted to cook for the children.
She wanted to cook for the children and the gurus. She wanted to be there with us to cook. She cooked amazing things, right? And I think Sister Sandra was the one who reminded me that it was really there's a special purpose behind it. She also wanted the children to know that vegetarian food can be absolutely delicious. Right, that it's not just about KFCs and McDonald's and all that, right? That the food that she made is something that she wants them to bring back home, so that they'll remember that vegetarian food can be so delicious. So her barbecues were amazing, right? That's something we will also miss should we resume the Group 3 camps. Yeah, so she really kept thinking about, her thinking was always way beyond just that one action. Right, she always had a higher purpose behind it. Auntie was indeed like the goddess Annapurni, the divine mother, compassionate mother of food and nourishment. Now at this point, I'll just stop talking for a short while, because we're going to watch two videos. One video is by Sister Rosemary Chandran, another video by Sister Veenam. Both of them are overseas, so they couldn't be here to speak. First, we'll watch Sister Rosemary's video. Sister Rosemary, she's a lovely, lovely sister. She's been, a friend of the center, supports our bhajans, a beautiful person who is a very strong advocate of vegetarianism. And she's run some vegetarian workshops as well for us, and even in the center as well. Thanks to Auntie. Sister Vasantha is the one who actually helped to organize these vegetarian workshops. Sister Rose is going to share a few words. In fact, both the sisters will share, right, about their experience with Auntie, their relationship with Auntie in friendship, faith, and food. Okay, so first, let's watch Sister Rose's video. Sai Ram.
Om Sai Ram. I would like to thank Educare Center for inviting and giving me this honor to say a few words about my dear friend. To many of you, she was referred to as Auntie or Sister Vasantha. To me, she was Vas, and I was just Rose to her. The bond and connection we shared were on many levels. Vas created a WhatsApp chat group called Rose Vivas. That's me, Rosemary, Veenam, and Vasantha. The three of us always had a lovely time when we were together. We would go out or meet at V's home or my place and have home-cooked food. We were always relaxed and had lots of light-hearted conversations and fun. We could talk about anything under the sun, and our meetings would usually end up being marathoned. The Rose Vivas chat group and my personal WhatsApp chat with you, Vas, will now remain only a treasured memory. I will always remember the beautiful memories we created along the way in our friendship. Many times I would see a message from Vas, Sai Ram Rose. I would reply, Sai Ram Vas, you want to talk? She would reply, 5 minutes can? But our conversations would usually last about 30 minutes to an hour. Some years back, Vas organized a vegetarian workshop and invited me to talk. Veenam and myself prepared different kinds of vegetarian dishes for the participants to taste. We've also made trips to Puttapati to cook at the foreigners' canteen. Vas was meticulous, and she spent many hours in selecting the menu and even organized for food items to be brought to Prashanti. We've done a trip to the Sai school in Thailand, and we spent 3 glorious days cooking for the students. The times I've spent with Vas, I've never seen the stern or fierce side of her. I've only seen the playful, gentle, loving, kind, and generous person she was. She had a heart of gold. Vas, you have completed your earthly duties, and you are now with Swami in the heavenly abode. Though you have shed your physical body, Your spirit will continue to live on in all of us who love you. Rest, my dear friend. I've missed you terribly. I love you vast and will always hold a special place in my heart for you. Om Sai Ram.
We thank Sister Rose for her sharing. She did say that it was very difficult to make this video. Yeah. In 2010, Auntie had the divine blessing of being able to serve our Supreme Mother Swami. For so many years, she has been cooking and serving the Swami and all of us. And in 2010, she was able to actually personally serve Swami and his students. To talk about this briefly is Sister Veenam. She's also overseas. Sister Veenam, right, also another lovely, beautiful sister. She was an SSC guru. In fact, she is an SSC guru, sorry, right, for a number of years, working with the Sai Blossoms, I think, Sai Blossoms. And, a very strong supporter of all center activities. So let's watch Sister Veenam's video. Sai Ram.
Sweetest, dearest, loving Vasantha. The twinkle in her eyes, her mischievous smile, her zest for life, these are just a few traits of hers which I will enormously miss. Sister Vasantha, the Iron Lady, relentless in her objectives within Swami's mission, was a force often not to be reckoned with. I would admire her tenacity and forwardness when it came oftentimes to fundraising for Swami's projects. She threw aside her ego and would keep asking until her goal was achieved. Many years ago, she accompanied me to Delhi when my family was hosting Swami's visit. She took on the overwhelming responsibility of making and arranging delightful fruit arrangements to be placed at Swami's table for each meal that was to be served to Swami and his entourage. Armed with her supplies from Phunhuat, she came all equipped to serve. Very quickly, she created a small team from within the Delhi Sevadal to help her. In fact, we laughed as she was quickly able to identify the skilled and hard-working Sevadal for her team. Swami would often comment and look on in curiosity at the fruit arranged as a peacock, a tree, a garden, and so on. She lovingly and somewhat painstakingly would for hours with her team sit and make these arrangements early in the morning. It truly did lift our table arrangements to an entirely different level. And also, many a time we cooked together as a group in the Western canteen, Vasantha, Rose and I, and she put in so much genuine effort to ensuring that the food was not only delicious but beautifully presented. She would stand tirelessly by the huge big pots, stirring away, adding ingredients and flavors to make delicious food. Vasantha was a natural at so many things, or at least that's how she made it look. But behind the scenes, she put in a great amount of thought, practice and planning to execute her work beautifully. Vasantha, yours is a void that can never be fulfilled, yet we have no choice but to carry on lives without you. Your friendship will be treasured, and I will forever be grateful to Swami that in this lifetime I got to have you as a very endearing, loving and adored friend. Sai Ram.
We thank Sister Veenam as well for her video. It's very sad. We actually saw Auntie's fruit platters when she came back from the trip in 2010. They were beautiful, but for some reason we can't find the photographs. After this trip, about a couple of years later, 2012, Auntie had written an article about this trip. And I just want to read you some quotes from this article about what this trip meant to her. Do we have the slide on that? It's easier to read than my notebook. Okay, so this is part of what she had written. I was asked to assist with the arrangement of fresh fruit platters to be served to Swami, his students and guests. Every moment of the preparation was overwhelming, joyful and sacred. Doing something like this for the Lord is a heavenly gift, and I valued every minute of it. Swami says that his joy is derived from the joy of his devotees, and I wanted to contribute to this by serving fruits for joy. The trip, so this is a reflection on the trip itself. The first quote is actually about what she was doing. This was, I think, her reflection on the trip. The trip was a journey within for me to see and understand that being with the divine can only lead to bliss. It is a giant step towards internal transformation. He always gives us the opportunity to experience bliss, but we must be ready to take up the offer. I love that line. Bliss does not always come in the physical form. It is a state of mind, body, and soul. It is going inwards to reap the full benefit of divinity. Right? He always gives us the opportunity to experience bliss, but we must be ready to take up the offer. Right? I think that's a very powerful statement. I just want to end off with just a personal reflection on Auntie. All this talk about food. Now everyone must be hungry, to eat after this. I think a lot of my interaction with Auntie was at setting up the altar. Right? Auntie was, the queen of the altar queen, I don't know what to call her. A lot of my interaction was there. And I think the few things that struck me about how she viewed something that may seem as simple as an altar setup was just 3 words that come to my mind, right? It must be planned, it must be proper, it must be perfect. With everything that she did, must be planned, must be done properly and perfect, because it's an offering to Swami. It's going to Swami. And the one thing that she always struck when I used to do the wick and pour the oil, I was always trembling, because she'll say, Usha, do this properly, the flame cannot go off. Why? Because the person doing arati will be very upset if the flame goes off, right? So every little detail, right? Her attention to detail, her meticulousness was just fantastic. And that really is something that has stuck with me all these years. And on that note, we miss you, Auntie. We miss our food. We miss eating together. We miss hopping to restaurants and cafes and trying out. Thank you very much, Sai Ram.
Thank you very much for that beautiful sharing, Sister Usha, Sister Veenam, and Sister Rosemary. I've never felt so hungry in a memorial before. There is just so much talk about food, but yes, she was the queen of culinary and hospitality. And right now, how many of you have actually seen the little Vasantha as a 10-year-old girl? I'm sure, Ruby, you have, and your mom, and Manju, you have. But the rest of you, let's now take a trip down memory lane, snapshots from Vasantha's life.
Dhara नमो सत्यनारायणाय नमो साई नारायणाय नमो सत्यनारायणाय गिरिधार गोविंद गोपाल घनश्यामनंदना
And that was Walking Down Memory Lane, a beautiful song by Talmans. Let's give them another wonderful round of applause. It is now my honor to welcome Sister Nirmala, who has been with the center since the early 90s and has been an active SSE guru ever since. She is part of the center's Veda team and oversees the teaching of Veda to members of all ages. Sister Nirmala.
Thank you so much, brother. That was a beautiful walk down memory lane. I had my kerchief inside. I had to take it out. Yeah, thank you. My segment, we divided the segments amongst us, and my segment was to talk about her leadership role. And as I am sitting here listening to everything that everyone is saying, I realize that she displayed the leadership role in everything that she did. Who is a leader? I know there are many, many ways of looking at a leader, but when we look at a leader, one of the things that really stands out is their ability to have a vision, to see how everything fits into one whole concrete segment. And most of us, we would be working in our own silos, in our own areas, but Sister Vasantha had this ability to see how all the different things that we are doing is going to fit together and be that big thing that she's looking at. That is what is inspiring to all of us. And if there's one thing that I'm going to take back after all, and has also said that she was stern, she was fierce. And I realized the reason for that as I worked with her on a Sathya Sai parenting project. I knew the speakers who were going to come, but initially I had a chat with Sister Vasantha. And in my mind at that time, the whole event was going to be one small thing. She had this ideas that were just coming in one after another. And soon that thing became this big. And I also realized that ability that she had to say, connect things up. She say, we can get this person in. This would be a good venue. Let's explore this venue. I know this person here. We can go and have a look at the venue. The youth can be involved, not just in their segment, but they can help. And these are the people who would be able to help behind the scenes. So she had ideas about all of these things, even before I had thought about it. I don't think at that stage in my life, I had the ability to visualize or even think about it. But she had all these ideas in her head, and she was so excited about it that it was infectious. The whole thing was infectious. And then she pushed me to the front. She said, "You take charge of coordinating it," and behind the scene she was working to make sure that all these things were coming in. And that's when I realized that her sternness, her fierceness was because she was looking at that big picture, and we sometimes were looking only at the small one. It was irritation, frustration that we are not able to see the big picture. And that is the sign of a true leader. I want to share, in fact, I'm going to ask Sister Ranga, and Sister Ranga has already been introduced. And Sister Ranga talks about this quality of a leader that Sister Vasantha had, which is her mere presence. So over to Sister Ranga.
The next thing I wanted to talk about was the various journeys that we undertook. When Auntie joined our center, she didn't think small. It was always about what could we do that is befitting of Swami, from altar decorations to food for seva, to events. And I think my most precious memories and experience comes from the various journeys we undertook as a center and as Singapore to Parthi to be in Swami's divine presence. And our very first journey was in 1997. We called it Journey to God, and many of you would have been there as well. We organized it together as a center, and Swami granted us Pada Namaskar. And what role did Auntie play in all of this? She had presence. We were not VIPs in Parthi. We went as normal, for normal darshan, taking tokens and so on, but a big group of us, right? And Auntie had presence. She would wear her sari and she would walk in to Prashanthi Nilayam, to Kulwan Hall, and she was able to speak to the Sevadals, to share with them, to the office bearers, to share with them who we are and where we have come from, and that we have brought children. After a day or two, the Sevadals ended up supporting all of us. So we would get seating together, we would get special seating. They will allow us to put the children on the front row. Even when we had darshan in the mandir, the Sevadals allowed the children to sit in the front row. And I felt that that is the kind of maturity and leadership that Auntie brought to all our journeys. So from Journey to God, we went on to Journey to Love, Journey with Sai. There were many, many such beautiful experiences. And all of that was possible because Auntie could hold her own, could talk to different groups of people, different types of people. And with each journey, we grew closer and we were able to interact with so many other devotees from Singapore as well as in Parthi. And this is something that is a very, very special memory for all of us.
I wanted to share an experience that we had in one of the journeys that Sister Ranga talks about. This was in 2001 when we were blessed to have an interview with Swami. We had 200 plus Singaporeans and many students and parents of our program. All of us were inside the mandir in Puttaparthi. And Swami came in and he was interacting and talking with all of us. And at that point, Swami looked at Sister Vasantha and he asked, "How many children do you have?" And Sister Vasantha said, 300 children, Swami. And I still remember the teasing look that Swami had as he looked at Sister Vasantha and said, 300 children? And everybody started laughing. And then he said, "How many children do you have?" And as I recollect that conversation with Swami, I realized that even at that moment when the Lord is asking, "How many children do you have?" it spontaneously came out from a mouth, I have 300 children, because she looked at each and every one of the SSC children as her own children. when I first joined the program, there was one occasion when I took the Clementi bus back home, and at that time, Sister Vasantha was the bus coordinator for the Clementi bus. And after the SSE program was over, as we were going back, she brought biscuits from home for the children to give the children in the bus because they would be hungry and they are small children. So that is the kind of attention that she paid to the welfare of the children. And this was really something that was very, very touching to me as I looked at that. And I remember thinking to myself, it is such a wonderful way that she is able to connect with these children. And it is not just SSE children. She also had a very soft spot for the youth in the center. She would look out for ways to engage the youth. She would create separate programs so that the youth can be involved. And that is again the mark of a great leader, to be able to realize and bring to fruition the fact that youth are the future. They are the future leaders. And she had this ability, like, Sister Usha said, she went to Delhi, she didn't know the Save Adults, but she was able to spot who is good at what. Similarly, she was able to look at the youth and say who would be good for which role. And to talk about one such experience is Brother Bhaskar here. Brother Bhaskar came to the center. Sister Vasantha brought him to the center initially, almost 2 decades ago. And at that time, he had just finished his degree, or he was just finishing his degree. And now he is a father of 2 and a very important part of the center. So over to Brother Bhaskar.
Hello, Sai Ram everyone. So I've got no prepared speech, not 1 or 2 like the rest, so I'm just going to talk impromptu. My relationship with Auntie spans more than 2 decades. She was the one who, should we say, talent spotted me and brought me into the center. So I was just coming out from my degree program, and I was in my final year of my degree program, and I wanted to do some volunteer work. So one of my friends said, look, there's this conference being organized in India at Prashandi Nilayam, which I've never heard about back then. And they said it's about parenting. Actually, it's about parenting, they said. So I said, why don't you try it out? So that's how I got to know Auntie. She was part of the project team, and we worked together on it. I mean, you've heard about Auntie's fiery nature. She's like a fire, but also very compassionate. So I'm going to, as part of this story, I'm going to talk about a small flame, maybe the flame about this size, the candle there. The small flame which really brought out the softness in her and reduced her to tears. So that will be the ending point of the story, okay? So the Ishwarama exhibition was what we did together. It was an exhibition done at Vrindavan, and it was to commemorate Mother Ishwarama's life. And as part of that, they wanted to do a parenting exhibition as well. So I mean, it just started off as something to showcase there. Initially, we thought it could be maybe like a book or something like that. In the end, it turned out to be like, supposed to come up with panels, supposed to come up with a write-up about Ishwarama's life and how she what was her relationship with Swami, and about how Swami views the role of parents. And I think what was really to me very inspirational about Auntie Vasantha was that I got to work with her very closely, through the divine grace. Because when she first asked me, Baski, can you work on this program? I said, no, Auntie, I'm just graduating. I was just graduating, and I said, I have to start my job. So I think it's not possible. Then she felt very disappointed. She was like, you'll be great for this, because we need to do media and stuff like that, which we've never done before, posters, graphic design and so forth. And I was trained in computer engineering. So I said, not likely. And as you know, Swami has his own ways. When I graduated, I came out into a .com crash So basically, there was like no jobs for like computer engineers, so I was basically jobless. So since I couldn't get a career job, so this became my job, you know. So working on the exhibition was my job for like 6 months, and I got to see Auntie close up. And I think she brought work-life or work-sci integration into reality far earlier than even work-life balance was a word. You know, because I got to see how she worked. She will be working, she was working full-time then, she was working full-time, she'll pick up calls from the center, she will argue with Uncle Sundar, she'll go back to work, then, you know, I'll catch her back at home and she'll cook for us. And we used to spend so much time working out every single detail of the script, every single panel, every single item. She wanted it perfect. You know, so sometimes we go up to like hours and hours past midnight, and you know, next day she has to go to work. For me, I'm jobless, you know, so I could like work until like 1 a.m., then I'll go home, sleep, wake up at like 9 a.m. She goes to work early in the morning, you know, and she's like up later than me, and she wake up earlier than me and say, Baski, what about this panel? I say, Auntie, you go to work, I'm sleeping, you know. So that's how it was. And I really, from her, I learned how to integrate my work life and my work for Swami and my family life in a way that is, should we say, I don't know what's the right word, in a way that actually just makes us move on, because it's not easy. You know, as you all know, working, taking care of family, doing Swami's work in the center, all this requires time commitments, it requires personal commitment, it requires drive, and she was a person who personified all this, you know. She made it a reality on how to make this work, and I learned from her like almost every day. I was like spending time with her for almost 6 months. And that is the hallmark of a true leader, you know. A leader is not a person who tells you what to do. A leader is a person who inspires you to greater heights. You know, through the leader's actions, through their words, you are inspired to become greater than yourself. And that was something Auntie brought to all of us, and to many of us, especially the youngsters, you know, that she very closely worked with. So coming back to my last part of my story, the flame that made her cry. You know, Sister Usha talked about the Arati, how particular Auntie is about setting up the Arati tray. So on that day, the Ishwarama exhibition, back then Brother Dr. Michael Goldstein was the chairman, and he said, you know, we were set up outside Vrindavan, so we were set outside the Bhajan hall, we had set up all the panels, and devotees, we were going to open that day. Okay, hasn't been open to public yet, so it's the first day, it's the opening. And the intention was that it was going to be opened by Chairman SSIOS. Suddenly we got word that Swami wants to open it. You know, so it was like a huge change on the spot. You know, everything had to be reconfigured. You know, because a huge crowd will follow Swami. You know, so we had to do a lot of changes, and that's when I saw how fast Auntie can work. You know, faster than even some youngsters. Her speed of thinking, her speed of decision making, it was amazing. So I had the opportunity to for the first time in my life, see Swami like up front like that. You know, so Swami is here and I am here for the first time in my life, and that was a life-changing experience. And Swami then went through and saw every single panel. We had maybe, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 panels. And you know, because of I feel it's because of the effort and the amount of time that, you know, Sister Vasantha said, you must make it right, you know, because it's for the devotees. We didn't know Swami is going to see it, right? So it's for our devotees, you must make it perfect. So it's the amount of time and effort it put into it. And Swami visited every single panel. I mean, it literally mean he went there and he saw one panel by one panel by one panel, and then he moved to the next panel. And then he went through the entire exhibition. And then he came out, and it was Sister Vasantha, Auntie Vasantha's role to do the Arati for Swami, you know. And when Swami came there, she smiled at her and she just broke down crying, and then she couldn't figure out what to do next. So it was the small lighting of the Arati tray. She couldn't do it, you know, because she became so emotional. You know, it was such a cherished memory for her to do the Arati for Swami after I don't know how many years in the center then. And you know, and I can still remember this moment, you know, Swami saw her struggling, wasn't really getting the Arati tray going, and Swami just took the match from her, so he said, it's okay. He lighted himself. Then he said, okay, now you carry on, something like that. He did his hand. So, you see, despite all that fire, despite all that, the fiery nature she has, she's at heart a very soft person. And that is something I think Bhagavan knows very well. And that is also the Auntie Vasantha that truly touched my heart and made me what I am today. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sai Ram.
Thank you, Brother Bhaskar, for sharing that. We can all visualize that scene. It is truly wonderful to see the youth coming back and working in the center and taking on more active roles. One such youth who is now a very important part of our music and bhajan team is Brother Sai Vignesh. Sai Vignesh was our student. I remember him in the program, and now he's a very important part of the music team. Sai Ram.
I think a lot of the elders had spoken earlier about how Auntie was an expert at finding out who is interested in what, who is good in what, and bringing them and giving them a place in the center. It was definitely true for me. Auntie knew that this boy is a bhajan boy, so she gave me lots of bhajan opportunities. And that was the one thing that I kept coming back to the center for. And one of those years, a bunch of us who had grown up in SSC, we graduated out of the program. We were technically what you would call young adults. And we were thinking of what to do. We want to do something with bhajans. And we didn't know anything, right? And we thought, okay, maybe let's do some bhajan album. I'm going to recount this experience and another experience to kind of tell you how, two qualities of aunties that make her a fantastic leader. One is being a champion, and the other is being able to take some responses, some feedback, and maybe change the course of, her thinking. So number one, on how she's a champion for us. As a 20-something-year-old, early 20s kids, just finished NS, first year university, we wanted to make this album. We don't have cash, we're broke. We came up with this nice presentation. We had like 150 bhajans, narrowed down to 10. We got a nice studio and a good rate, and a Sai devotee was a sound engineer. He decided to forego his fees. But still, there was a lot of effort and investment that we needed to make. And when we presented to, I think Uncle Sundar and Auntie Vasantha were all part of that core team. When we had presented to them, they just go. Don't worry, we'll take care. Long story short, there was a lot of difficulty. And it almost didn't happen. And we were going to 2007 World Youth Conference. Auntie and the center elders, they were the ones who helped us make it happen, who printed the CDs, who packaged it up. I mean, for us, we're just young adults. It's not like we're doing, something so great, so monumental. But the kind of support and backing that we got is something I'll never forget. She was truly a champion for us. They always say when somebody starts doing something, it's always the second person, the first person to join, That's the important person, that guy or woman who will change the tide. Auntie was always that kind of a person. She was always the cheerleader. She was always the supporter. Second thing, so that was in 2007. So it's been a while since then, and me and Prabhu, a bunch of the other boys, we are now in the bhajan team. We're helping coordinate. And sometimes we'll have discussions about bhajans. And, our center, Brother Prashant knows, we always have a lot of, our identity is that we have good bhajans. Right? And when we have good bhajans, means we'll have good chorus, people enjoy, and they go back with a good feeling. So sometimes, as part of the bhajan team's responsibilities, the bhajan coordinators have to bring in singers who are new, who are not that experienced, and they need to get some exposure, some learning as they grow and develop. And at one point, we used to always give a lot of, new bhajan singers, new musicians, a lot of chances, and I would say it wasn't really helping some people get connected. Of course, these feedbacks come, and Auntie was having a discussion with us, and I remember this conversation. I think Auntie Sandra was also there. We met and we were having like some nasi lemak, obviously at Auntie's place. She was feeding us, and then we were talking about this. And at one point, I was like, but we need to develop, new singers. And at what point does music start being a distraction from devotion? So at that point, I don't know how Auntie caught on to that idea. It's like, we need to develop people, and the most important thing in bhajan is not music, but devotion. So when she heard that, she immediately said, yes, okay, we have to develop people. Don't worry, if anybody tells me that this bhajan is not good, that bhajan is not good, I will tell them, don't worry, we are developing people as well. And that was such a very, very, empowering thing. We were, again, not very, very old. In fact, we were still younger than many of the people who would come attend bhajans. And that way, Auntie, when she had this mindset to tell us to change, some things that we were doing in the bhajan team, even, as she came with that mindset, she actually changed her mind based on how we were presenting and our intent. So ultimately, I would say, Auntie has been like a mother. When she said, 300 kids, I think, Brother Prashant, myself, so many of the young adults here, I think we're all her children, and we'll remember her very, very fondly with so much love. And we're grateful, very grateful to have seen, experienced, felt her love. And hope if she does have to come back, I hope she comes during Prema Sai's time. But if not, super. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Sohi.
One thing I forgot to tell you all is that you have heard 2 songs of Talmans. Sai Vignesh was an important part of the Talmans team. So give him a big round of applause. Thank you. Exactly as Sai Vignesh said, that is the hallmark of a leader, to be able to listen and to be able to champion somebody that needs help. One of the other areas that I worked very closely with Sister Vasantha was in SSE training for our gurus. And Sister Vasantha would work behind the scenes to plan, organize, identify who are the people that we can invite, bring them over, and then, all the logistics involved as well. So Sister Vasantha, again, that ability to see the big vision, if this happens, if this changes, how would that have a ripple effect on the rest of the program? That was what she was able to see very, very clearly and very quickly on her feet. And that's what made her very, very ideal. And we would always go back to her and say, what about this? Can we change this? Can we change that? In the whole program and the training as well. And for the training, one of the people that most of us SSE gurus in Singapore, especially in our center, have learned from is Sister Lorraine. Sister Lorraine is currently in Thailand, and she would come down very often to Singapore, and Sister Vasantha would, house her in her own home and take care of all her needs. We would take her out for different places in Singapore as well. So here is Sister Lorraine sharing about her own experiences and what she has to say about Sister Vasantha.
Today, I've come to talk about someone who's been very special in my life, Sister Vasantha. And it makes me happy, and it also makes me sad. It makes me happy because I think of all the time we spent together. I think of all that she's done. And of course, it makes me sad when I realize that she's not physically with us anymore. But she will always be with us in our hearts. She will always be with us in our thoughts. And I'd like to just talk a little bit about my relationship with her. And it goes back many, many years. Vasantha, as I said, was many things to me, but probably the most important was she was a friend and someone who always stood by me. She was someone who always was there if I needed her. And she always tried to help me. And I know that it was not just me, it was everyone around. And she helped so many people in Singapore and other countries. But for me, I stayed with her many times when I went to Singapore. And she went overboard trying to take care of me, look after me. I can't say that she was always easy. Sometimes she was quite strict with me. But that was all part of being sisters and being very good friends and living together. She was very, very dedicated to her work, very dedicated to Sathya Sai education in human values and all the work that went with it. And that's what she really supported with me. She took me so many times to Singapore to give seminars to the general public, to devotees, to the youth. And we worked very closely together. But she was always there, a little bit in the background. She always pushed me in front. She was always there, just, I like to think beside me, but she was actually behind me because she was always pushing me to go in front and to give seminars and to give workshops. But what I would like to really say is that she was such a wonderful person, always helping, always loving, always caring. And I'm very grateful to Swami that I had the opportunity to spend quite a lot of time with her. Although we lived in other countries, she always took the time to find out how I was and how things were going. So this is what I want to say about Sister Vasantha. I want to say how much I loved her, how much I know that she loved me, and how much incredible work she was doing for Swami. Her greatest love was Swami, and always putting her hands out to help and to work with others. And as I said, I'm very grateful for the time that I had with her. And I'll never forget her. Sai Ram.
Thank you, Sister Lorraine. One thing that stands out for me is when we lose the physical presence of someone that we love, there's a period when we miss them a lot. We feel their absence in everything, and everything that everybody has shared reminds us of the absence. And for me personally, and I think eventually all of us will be doing that as well, is to look for ways in which we can make their presence part of our life as we move forward. And the one thing that I want to intentionally take from Sister Vasantha and make it a part of my life is the courage that she showed. The courage that she showed in so many different ways, and especially the courage that she showed as she fought her health challenges and came out strong. Thank you so much, Sai Ram.
Thank you very much for that very wonderful sharing, Sister Nirmala, Brother Sai Vignesh, Sister Lorraine, and everyone. Thank you very much. And now it's time for me to share. The name Vasantha itself evokes thousands and thousands of wonderful memories. It is no coincidence that Vasantha is one of my most favorite ragas. It's a beautiful evening raga, Sai Vignesh would know. It's very lilting, but it's also very energizing. It's full of hope and positivity. And Vasantha means spring. And she really lived up to her name. She was full of life, full of color, and also full of fragrance. We all know that she was into essential oils. Vasantha, dear Vasantha, you are one of the most loving persons I've ever known and will ever know. She was the embodiment of love, and that love manifested itself in many ways, through service primarily. Service to Swami, service to the center, service to her family and friends, and service to each and every one of us. I had the wonderful privilege of working with her on many center-related and other private events as well. And we had a blast working on each and every event. I always joke with everyone else saying that, I never got to see the fiery side of her. She was always very loving, very tender. Yes, very warm. And we had a lot of fun. We will meet over a cup of coffee and discuss about events and what we're going to do. And we worked on so many events. Swami's birthday. We worked on What's in the Bag, the play competition. We worked on the medical conference. And also, the very last event we worked together on was right here in 2019, December of 2019. We did something beautiful for the foreign workers. And it was such a beautiful event that I still remember sitting on the steps of Rudrakaliamman Temple after the event. We were both very satisfied. And over a cup of masala chai, we were just reminiscing about the event and how well it went. Yes, such beautiful, wonderful memories. I would like to thank Madam Vijaya Lakshmi, mother of Vasantha, for giving us Vasantha. Let's give her a big, big round of applause. Romba, romba, romba nandrima. You gave all of us Vasantha. You gave us spring. You gave us eternal spring. Those we love don't go away. They walk beside us every day, unseen, unheard, but always near. Still loved, still missed, and very, very dear. Thank you, Vasantha. You will always live on in our hearts. And in each and every one of you, I see Sister Vasantha. A big round of applause for Sister Vasantha, please. Up next, it is my honor and privilege to introduce an esteemed community leader and a very dear friend of both Sister Vasantha and me. In fact, it was Sister Vasantha who introduced him to me. Brother Amir Ali Abdi Ali is founder and president of the Muslim Kidney Action Association, or MKAC for short. Brother Amir Ali has an illustrious career in government service, having held many positions, including Deputy Director of the OSH Division of Ministry of Manpower and General Manager of the Occupational Safety and Health Center and as Master Mediator of the Community Mediation Center. A strong believer of interfaith and community engagement, he served as Honorary Secretary and Treasurer of the Interreligious Organization of Singapore, IRO. He also serves as Vice Chairman of the Pasir Ris Harmony Circle since 2001. Brother Amirali's friendship with Sister Vasantha spans more than 2 decades, especially with his work at MKAC and IRO. It is now my pleasure to invite Brother Amirali to address us. Brother, please.
In the name of Almighty God, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Good evening and Sai Ram. Mr. Mani, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. And as you mentioned, I do happen to hold some positions in various organizations. But the position in life that I truly cherish, yeah, thank you, okay. Are we good? Yeah. The position in life that I truly cherish the most is being a friend of Vasantha Kumaree. So let me begin by first thanking Sister Usha and all of you here for inviting me to say a few words at this service for Sister Vasantha. And like everyone present here tonight, I was shaken and deeply saddened when I heard that our dear beloved Sister Vasantha had passed away. It immediately brought to my mind an aphorism, which is, the trouble is we think we have time. I read that somewhere. And it's a very deep sentence. The trouble is we think we have time, but time is not in our control. Life is unpredictable. When you are with someone, you have no idea if you'll ever see them again. Everyone you see today, this may be our last encounter. And maybe we should behave as if it is our last encounter. So as for Vasantha, only today that I realized how much she was involved in so many good works. After listening to all the amazing speeches and watching the videos that were presented earlier today, I didn't realize I only knew her, only a small portion of her, which I thought I knew a lot about her. But today, I'm so glad I'm the last speaker because I realized that she had much, much more. And everything that every other speaker had said before me, it rang like a clear bell that that is who Vasantha is. And I was communicating with her quite regularly. We met a lot of times, but lately only on WhatsApp. And sometimes there would be long absence from her. And I would say, hey, are you all right? Is everything okay? You know, long time never heard from you. And she would say, yeah, I will coming to see you soon, you know. But long time passed, she never saw me. Then I told her, look, another long time has passed, you've still not come to see me. And she said, yeah, I'm not been well, and I'm taking medication for the cancer that she is going through. But she said, the moment I feel better, I'll come and see you. So then I realized about what I said earlier. We think we have time. The trouble is we think we have time. So that was my problem. I thought plenty of time. Surely she will be better and we will meet each other again. I'll never make that mistake again. It was a big mistake on my part that I should have gone to see her and not wait for her to come and see me, because we were both very busy in our own lives. And I think it is our duty when anyone is not well, how important it is to visit them. We think we have plenty of time, but the time can stop any time, and it's too late. So we are here at this service. So despite the weeks that have passed, I still feel the pain of the huge void her absence have left in our lives. But yes, we can all carry her in our hearts and appreciate and cherish the memories of the beautiful times we shared with her in our lives. Now, as Mr. Mani had said earlier, I met Vasantha, well, it's 20 years ago, 21 years ago, when she came by to see me while I was working at the Ministry of Manpower. Just like that. She came with 2 or 3 friends and had a talk with me. And she wanted me to sponsor a few students to travel to Puttaparthi to visit Swami, because they were from poor families. I said, okay, I'll be glad to. But then she said, Uncle or Brother Amir, why don't you come with us? I've never been to Puttaparthi. I don't know what it would be about, but I said, no, I'm happy to sponsor. But she had a magnetic charm. She had this charisma, and she had this way of smiling and looking at you that I just melted. Yeah. And I said, okay, I'll come. I don't know what I am in for, but I'll come. Because up to that time, I've not heard about Swamiji. Yeah. And I went. I had a wonderful time there. So much warm hospitality. Everybody was so nice. And there were people from all over the world in Puttaparthi, as you all well know. Wonderful people. And she took me around to see the good work that Swamiji had done, Sai Baba had done, and it was amazing. The Museum of Interfaith activity, interfaith exhibits, the universities that were there, which I understand from primary up to university level, but I was most fascinated by the hospital in Whitefield, which she brought me there. And I was told that this hospital was built in record time. So, thanks to Vasantha, I was observing miraculous happenings there, which nobody knows not many people know in Singapore, you know. And I'll never forget the hospital because one thing, they had no billing department. It was free for anyone who came there for treatment. It was completely free, and it's unheard of. In Singapore, or in most parts of the world, when you want to incentivize people to build something and to finish it quickly, our only currency is money. Offer them more money and they will work harder and they will work faster. But over there, my eyes was open and I realized there was another kind of currency. And this is the currency of faith and love and devotion to Baba. And that can create miracles and can get institutions built in unheard of record times. So it's an amazing experience that I will never forget. So when we returned, I felt there was a change in me, and we bonded very strongly, myself and Vasantha. I enjoyed every moment of my time with her. And yes, as I've heard earlier speakers, she can be very, I wouldn't say strict, but she had a clear idea of what needed to be done and made sure that it was done. So I appreciated some of the earlier speakers who spoke about leadership. And I think that's a good takeaway for me. What is leadership? Is to have a vision, a strong vision, and to move towards that vision, not to order people what to do, like a wonderful speaker said earlier, but to inspire them to do it. So these are the things that I will carry away, and I will try to apply it at my own organization. So less scolding from me and more inspiration for the people that work for me. So Vasantha was a strong supporter of the Muslim Kidney Action Association that I head. We are helping about 300 kidney patients, and she was regular there. She gave motivational talks to the patients. She brought food, she cooked food, but more than that, she invited the patients to the places like temples, and where she arranged many activities and games for them, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. And what one speaker said earlier, because some of my beneficiaries, I told them, it's vegetarian food, you know. They said, no, let's try. But when they came back, they said the food was so tasty. So you don't need to eat meat to have tasty food. And they really enjoyed it. So I learned a lot from Vasantha. And I'm a better man today because of her. And we, you know, as I told you about the Interfaith Museum in Puttaparthi, I introduced her to the interreligious organization, where we have 10 faith, 10 religions, leaders on the council. And at my request, she agreed to be the administrator for the interreligious organization. And she did a great job. All the leaders of the religion, they appreciated her very much. And she organized many activities, even though we did not pay her much. So I have many more things to say, but I think time is of the constraint. I see Mani smiling at me. Let me just, if with your permission, Mr. Mani, if you will indulge me, allow me to say that, yes, we have lost a great friend who showered us with so much unconditional love and care. Singapore has lost one of her most beautiful, saintly daughters whose contributions and service is simply beyond human measures. And please allow me to end 1 minute, if you will indulge me, to recite a poem dedicated to Vasantha. It's about someone who hath left us. And like what somebody had said earlier, it's always near to around us. It's a poem by Elizabeth Frey. It's called Do Not Stand by My Grave. I'll read it to you and I'll end my speech there. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sun of ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. As you awaken in the morning hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand by my grave and weep. I am not there. I did not sleep. I am the song that never ends. I am the love of family and friends. I am the child who has come to rest in the arms of the Father who knows her best. When you see the sunset fair, I am the scented evening air. I am the joy of a task well done. I am the glow of the setting sun. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. Dearest Vasantha, may God's peace surround you wherever you are. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Brother Amir Ali, for that very moving tribute and the poignant poem. Let's give Brother Amir Ali another wonderful round of applause. And now I would like to welcome Sister Hema Sundaram, who has been a part of the Sai fold since a very young age. She has been with the center since 1991. She currently is the media coordinator for Zone 4, Sri Sathya Sai International Organization, and a member of the SSSIO Contents team. Sister Hema, please.
I offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of my beloved Lord, and loving Sai Rams to everyone here. I'm going to try and keep to my script, but before I continue with that, I just have to let you know, out of all the sisters, I'm probably the most emotional one, so if I do have to stop, just bear with me. Having heard about all the various projects that Auntie spearheaded over the last 30 years in the center, it is no doubt that she was elected and selected to to be the First Lady President of the Sai organization in Singapore. Auntie embarked on this role with great dedication, immense commitment to serve our Lord and the organization in our country. She knew that the role was not going to be a bed of roses and that she would have to face many, many tests in her tenure. But she ultimately emerged a very wise and victorious leader. As someone who has worked very closely with Auntie, and especially so during her time as the president of Sri Sathya Sai International Organization Singapore, I often saw how challenging that role was. Auntie would call me almost on a daily basis, or she'll send me a message in the morning with one word, Hema, and that's how she sounds, can talk. And I'll go, yes, or Hema, important, call me back. And we would have conversations about everything that was going on in the organization, and she would explain her decisions, her thought process. She would ask, what do you think about this? Who should I speak to? Should I approach it this way? Should I approach it that way? And she did that with so many, many other people in the center and in the organization itself. Despite all the challenges, I personally witnessed one thing, and that was Auntie always, always placing her utmost faith in Swami, his teachings, and his divine command. And she did that at the forefront of every decision she had to make. Many a times when you're a leader, you have to think about the decision you're going to make. Is it going to affect the devotees? Is it going to affect the organization? And the one thing Auntie never compromised was on Dharma. Everything that she did was based on the truth and based on Dharma. And her motivation was always, always to please our dearest Lord. Auntie always also understood that the greatest strength in the organization are our young adults. I was one of them at one point. Now I'm no longer a young adult, but I'm still young. And she actually paved the path for many young adults to take on various roles, including key leadership roles in the executive committee of the organization. And she opened so many doors for the young adults to work at both the regional and international levels. And since 2019, Auntie had gathered more than 30 young adults and advisors to take on the Sathya Sai International Leadership Program. Now, Auntie always focused on nurturing one-on-one relationships with the young adults. And I'm sure if you were to speak to any one young adult, they would have had an experience of nurture to share. And I see so many past young adults who were part of our center, and I'm sure all of you would have experienced that as well. Even when the world came to a standstill the last 2 years, Auntie ensured that the devotees had constant connection with Swami through the various activities and online programs. She understood that devotees had various ways of connecting with Sai through service, adoration, and illumination, and ensured that the activities in the organization supported each one's path towards the divine. I can go on talking a lot about Auntie and her role as the country president, but I can't take too much time with this. What I would like to do now is to hand over the time to Brother Ravi Manchanda, who will be sharing his experience working with Auntie via video. He's in Austria at the moment. And Brother Ravi actually served as an advisor to the SSIOS during Auntie's first term of office. Can we please have Brother Ravi's video? Thank you.
Sai Ram. I first met Sister Vasantha back in October 2006, having just returned from United Kingdom. I was introduced to her by Dr. Yo and Brother Sai Ram as they were contemplating a merger between the two centers. My initial impression was that she looked and appeared tough, suspicious of any extension of hand to help in the merger. Wales was initially difficult. I found Sister Vasantha to be an epitome of truth and love. She had no pretense and sought advice where she did not understand. Over the years, I witnessed a dramatic change. Confident in herself and a strong neck to address organizational issues that were complex and at times confrontational. Lately, she presided over great changes within the organization and was determined to push through changes, navigating them, cajoling those who felt misunderstood with love, sincerity, and strong reasoning. I will miss her company, as most of you watching this video will. She was not only a mother to her own child, but extended the wings of motherhood to those who needed shelter, word of encouragement, and wisdom. She was love in action, full stop. I pray that the seeds of her decisioning and action are sprayed well amongst all who knew her. Enough for us to walk in her steps and lead the organization ahead. I am sure our Lord has some work cut out for her up there. It is His gain and certainly our earthly loss. Sai Ram.
That was Brother Ravi Manchanda. Now I would like to call upon Brother Ashok Sakrani to share some loving thoughts on Auntie. Brother Ashok is currently the chair of Zone 5, Sri Sathya Sai International Organization, covering Hong Kong, Japan, and China. He is also the chair of the Environment and Sustainability Committee and a member of the media team with the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization. Following that, we will hear from Brother Manoj Singh. I call him uncle actually, so that's why I paused. Chair of Zone 4, Sri Sathya Sai International Organization, covering several Southeast Asian countries, including Singapore. He too will be joining us from Bangkok via video. Brother Ashok.
Sai Ram, I'm very honored for this opportunity to pay tribute to Sister Vasantha, and for that I am grateful to Swami and I'm grateful to the organizers. I haven't known her as long as all of you have, but I've had the opportunity to work with her and to be a friend to her, and so I have a little bit to share. I don't recall when I exactly first met Sister Vasantha, but I remember hearing about her when she was Deputy NCP, and I heard about her from my very good friend, Brother Ishwaran. And then eventually I came to hear that she was National Chair, and it was in that context that Ishwaran introduced me to her and I got to know her better. But then I always was closer to Ishwaran, and in an ironic sort of way, it was Ishwaran's passing that gave me the opportunity to get to know Vasantha better. I guess in a way with Ishwaran passing, she lost one lawyer friend, but she found another one. And I was eager to help her in whatever way I could in serving the mission in Singapore. So that's one track on which I got to know her. But there was a parallel track because my daughter had moved to Singapore, Ishina, and I kept on hearing about this lady Vasantha and this young lady called Hema from Ishina. And eventually, as I came to Singapore to visit Ishina, I got to know Hema and I got to know Vasantha. And eventually, Vasantha became a friend to us. And by that, I mean to me, my wife, and my wife's family. And we met Vasantha in that light too. And as I got to know Vasantha as a Sevadal within the organization and as a friend, not only did I realize that Vasantha was deeply committed to her seva in this organization, but that she was tough and resilient. And I will tell you this, I've heard some of you speaking about that quality in her. But I tell you this, and I was national chair in Hong Kong for many, many years, and that's why I know. To serve in that position, you have to be tough, and you have to be resilient, and you have to be resolute. But in all that toughness, she was deeply committed to Swami's teachings and to his mission. And she was very principled. And I think it's that quality of being principled which can sometimes be misunderstood as being tough, when actually it's really not. It's just a strong dedication to principles. One thing I'll say about her, in the time I worked with her, she never had her own agendas. She had a vision for the organization, and I think you saw it more than I ever did. And she was closely adhering to the principles of the Sai mission. And one thing I respect about her is that it was those principles, it was Swami herself, to which she was wholly dedicated, and not the whims and fancies of individuals. She was patient and careful, and it is these qualities in her which led me to trust her. From time to time, I'd have conversations with her generally about the organization and generally about leadership. And I found one thing about her I came to respect, and that she was always willing to listen. And sometimes, as a senior leader, I'd whisper things to her which I thought might help her. And to her credit, she was always opening to listening and talking. And that quality, I think, that humility and willing to listen, was something I think was her great measure. And I dare say that although in a sense I was his senior, I always respected the fact that she was head of Singapore, and I had to respect that. And I'm grateful to her for allowing me to serve in whichever way I could. You've all heard about courage, and I would say in the short time that I knew her and I knew about the things that she was doing, I realized she was brave. And that quality of a woman who is brave and standing firm really melted my heart, and Manoj's too, and increased our determination and dedication to help her in whichever way we could. And so I would say to all of you, and for everything you know of her much better than I do, rather than mourn her passing, I say we need to learn from her example and carry forward the torch of the international organization as the next set of runners in this relay. And I think she understood that there will always be another set of runners. And so I would encourage all of you to be brave like her and to run with that torch running forward. And I would also say, be like her. Never, ever be afraid. Because Swami is there to carry you. And whatever work there is to be done, never be afraid, because it is not you doing it. He is doing it. And he will help so long as you call upon him and allow him to help. Swami's blessings are reserved for those whom he calls to serve in his mission. And that's why I'm confident that Vasantha has abundance of those blessings. So that's what I'd written. And if I can just pick up one thought as I close. I heard all of you speak about her quality, her toughness. And perhaps more than most of you, I will understand that because I served as national chair, and you understand why you need to have that toughness. But I will also say to all of you, never ever forget one thing, that behind that toughness and strength is a devotee who is evolving, is a devotee who's conscious of his or her own failings, and who also understands that that sadhana, that seva given, is a sadhana and the means by which we tackle those demons within us and evolve and grow. And so perhaps one privilege of coming late to the scene is that I saw more of that softer side of her. I saw more of that mature side of her, that reflective side of her. And so I would say to all of you that you are very blessed to have had her. And the greatest thing you can do to remember her is to follow in her footsteps. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, brothers and sisters. I have known Sister Vasantha for several years. But since 2019, my interaction with her was increased. And during those talks, I came to know that her dedication towards Swami's work was unparalleled. With her loss, we have lost a dynamic leader. Recently, this October, she arranged a meet for all of us in Singapore. And one day I called her to know about the program. She spoke to me for nearly half an hour. And then I realized and asked, "Sister, where are you?" Because she was sick. In a smiling tone, she said, "Brother, I am on a hospital bed getting treated for my ailment." That was her dedication. Because normally we take leave from work if we have little fever or cough and cold. And during the meet, she came to greet us all the time and to drop us to the airport. When I asked, "Sister, there are bruises on your hand," she said, "I have fought with the doctors saying that I must be out of the hospital to be part of the function." Her loss is a big loss for SSSIU and for the family. Let's pray to Swami that he gives strength to all of us to bear the loss. And I'm sure she is in eternal peace with Swami. Sai Ram.
Thank you, Brother Ashok, who's walking away, and to Uncle Manoj. I was asked to speak about Auntie's last few months. As Uncle Manoj mentioned, Auntie's health took a great toll on her the last couple of months, but she persevered on in her role as the National Council President. And even while she was hospitalized, she continued to oversee all her duties from the hospital bed. She would call on a daily basis and say, "What is happening with this? What is happening with that?" And we had to prepare for Forward Together, Emerging Stronger. Some of you would have attended that session with Dr. Suresh Govind and Brother Arvind Balasubramanya. And I think Sister Achmir and I had individually gone to visit her at the hospital because she wanted to go through the entire program. And I would sit there, and I remember once I sat there for about 3 to 4 hours, and she said, "Okay, take out the notepad. Let's write down all the names, people that we need to invite for the dinner, people that we need to invite for this. Let's talk about logistics. Let's talk about transportation. We need to make sure that, we get the speakers from the hotel to the venue, etc." And she was in a lot of pain, and she never focused on that pain. She focused on her duty and her dharma as the president. And I also recall once we had to kind of fix the hotel booking, and the booking was on her laptop, and she actually got Puva to actually bring her laptop from home to the hospital because she needed to access that. And she went to such great lengths to make sure that she never forgo, her duties. And such was her commitment to her role and to Swami. It was all about Swami for her. And it's very rare to find someone who will actually do that, to be lying on the hospital bed and saying, I still need to do my job. What will I remember most about my time with Auntie? This is a difficult part. Auntie and I shared a very, very deep bond. A bond that was as close as a mother and daughter. In fact, she would tell people, Hema's like my daughter. And she kept me close for one very simple reason. My parents had passed on when I was in my 20s, and she never wanted me to feel like I was alone. In fact, many a times she would say, Hema, Sundar and I talk about you, and we always say, Hema doesn't have her parents around, so we have to be there for her. And she always took that responsibility on her. She would cook for me, she would call me, and she'd say, I'm going to cook this today, and I'm sending it to you, and I'm sending it to Ishina, I'm sending it to Uncle Sundar. And she would arrange that even while she was unwell. She always thought about all of us. And Auntie and I, we shared so many happy moments, sad moments. I've seen Auntie cry, Auntie has seen me cry. We've had good banter, we've had lots of tears, lots and lots of laughter. And I just wish people knew that side of her, like how some of us really knew her. A truly authentic person, who really felt every emotion that she was feeling. And I also have been blessed to witness so many other facets of her. She loved making personalized oil blends. So if you had a sore throat or you had a flu or something, she would say, I'm going to make an oil blend for you, and I'm going to send it to you. Or if a throat was itchy, she would be sitting at the back, and she would have a pouch of essential oils, and she'll say, come here, take 2 drops and rub it. And that was her. And at the same time, we shared a lot of time talking, hanging out, traveling, and we actually have a group of sisters in the center who actually are in a chat group, and Auntie called us the Ding Dong Bells. I don't know why she came up with that name, but we have been there as sisters, as friends, and Auntie was the mother figure for all of us. Now, at the same time, I am truly, truly blessed that Auntie and I walked on this journey as fellow Sai aspirants. Sometimes Auntie and I would be on the phone or we'll meet and we'll chuckle about how we see the organization in such an amazing way. And we say, my God, there's so much that can be done. There's so much that we can do, And I think she took comfort in speaking to me about it. And I too took that same comfort in speaking to her about it, because we really understood why we did things the way we do. And, I will always be eternally grateful to Auntie for always looking out for me, but more so for believing in me. Auntie believed in me when I didn't see certain things for myself. And she said, Hema, Swami's got a plan for you. Don't worry about it. And she would go behind the scenes and she would have conversations, and then as what she used to do, she would drop people into positions or just different roles and say, you can do this, go and do it. And she opened so many doors for me to experience Swami's love and his expansive mission. Swami's mission is just so, so huge. And Auntie showed that to me. And it's because of her complete faith and her trust in me that I now have had experienced the bliss of working with so many wonderful people within the center and beyond the borders. Someone like Brother Ashok as well, and Uncle Manoj. You know, I can only say thank you to Swami for bringing Auntie into my life as a friend, a sister, an auntie, and a mother-like figure. And I am just grateful that I got to walk on this journey in this lifetime of mine to watch her take on her roles with such courage, such determination, and with such passion. She had a lot of passion for what she did. And I have to say, I'm also very, very glad that I got to spend the last days and her last moments with her. And right till the very end, she was absolutely clear about what kind of decision she was making. It was all about Swami and her. You know, even right till the end, she said, no, the center needs this. We need to take care of this for the center. And she never forgot that. So I am just immensely, immensely grateful that this wonderful person walked into my life, was a huge part of my life, and she will always remain a very, very special person in my life. With that, Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Sister Hema, for that very beautiful and moving sharing. And also to Brother Ravi, Brother Ashok. And there is a chapter in the Ramayana which is called the Sundara Kandam, meaning the most beautiful chapter. But the thing is, it is actually filled with the most daunting challenges. So when you had actually shared with her, with us about the final leg of her journey, it's very much the most beautiful chapter of her entire life. When faced with the biggest and the most daunting challenges, the most beautiful qualities in her came out in the most beautiful fashion. And it's going to inspire us not only today, tomorrow, but forever. Thank you very much for sharing that. And now I would like to invite Sister Bhavani, who is already here. She has been with the center since a very tender young age. And she is a former student of SSE, and she is now a guru in the program. Over to you, Sister Bhavani.
Thank you, Brother Mani. I decided to come here because we are running behind time. I promised to keep it very short and simple. I just wanted to add on a few things about Auntie, and I would like to continue from Sister Hema's point about how Auntie didn't let anything stop her from doing her work. So in the past, like Brother Mani mentioned, I have been through the program, been a young adult, as a guru, so on and so forth. And so I guess my relationship with Auntie was more or less present in the last 10 years of my life. And in this last 10 years, I've been in many meetings, calls, discussions, projects with Auntie. And, you know, in the last few years, I would sit in some of these meetings and wonder, does she ever take a break? Why does she work so hard, right? Because I belong to a generation where we don't even go beyond for the jobs that we are being paid for. But here she is going the extra mile, working 24/7, you know, for an organization that, you know, sometimes you just wonder why, right? And Auntie has made me wonder why. And someone mentioned earlier, the reason is because most of us in this room, whatever role we play in the center, we only see the small picture. But Auntie was someone who always saw the big picture. And a very good example was this when we went through the pandemic, right? And there were so many restrictions that, to me, it just seemed sensible that we just take a pause, right? Clearly, Swami is telling us, take a break, right? Don't do any work, you know, just take a break. But no, right? Here was Auntie talking to all the different wing coordinators, trying to find a solution, trying to find a way, how can we continue SSC lessons? How can we still put out bhajans for the people? How can we still do seva, right? So she made us sit down, have meetings, find a way, find a solution to ensure that work was going on, right? At that time, it was very frustrating, right? Because we're like, why? Why are we working so hard to find a way? But that was Auntie, thinking of the big picture. And true enough, later on, I had people come to me, like Sister Veena, who tell me that her grandmothers who couldn't go anywhere looked forward to the live streaming of the bhajan, and it was the only thing that made their week, right? So things like this is what Auntie knew, right? That doing his work is very important because she always prioritized his mission and his devotees. And the organization mattered to her. And I just want to add a very small incident that happened towards the last few weeks, right? As Sister Hema mentioned, she was working from her hospital bed. So on Friday, 18th November, Auntie texted me, Sai Ram, Bhavani, will you be coming for BBC evening program? I need MCs to introduce the evening program. And then I wondered, BBC? Has Auntie got me a very big gig? So I replied her, Auntie, what is BBC? And then she replied, Baba's birthday celebrations. So I replied and I said, Auntie, why are you making your own acronyms, right? And at this time, I had no idea that she was already hospitalized. I was still joking with her because I don't think many of us knew, or she didn't even give us a chance to think that maybe she was unwell because work was going on so seamlessly, right? For those of us who were there for the birthday, for Akhanda Bhajans, everything was going on. Nobody would have even imagined that Auntie was, she was fighting, she was really ill, she was hospitalized because she ensured that work went on, that people who came for bhajans and enjoyed bhajans, right? And there was no room for complaints, right? Everything had to go smoothly. The show had to go on. And this was Auntie. And all of us who worked with her, this would have rubbed off on us. And the last text that I got from Auntie was me obviously replying saying, yes, Auntie, I'll do it. And she said, thanks, Bhavani. That's the last text I have from her. The reality is that I have a lot to thank Auntie for. Like many young adults who have spoken today and who are in the room, she has given me a lot of opportunity, amazing opportunities. Her contributions are not just the many projects that we heard of today, but also the many people that she has believed in, that she has groomed and guided over the years. There can only be one Auntie Vasantha, but her love, her dedication, discipline, and passion for Swami's work will carry on for decades through each and every one of us. I would like to conclude by reading a paragraph from an article that Auntie wrote after her 2010 Delhi trip. It perfectly sums her attitude towards life. Most often, things happen and we wonder why. Under such circumstances, it is best to go with the flow, having complete faith in Swami. For him to do what is best, one needs to play one's part with earnestness and enjoy his divine drama. Jai Sai Ram.
This is just the conclusion. Okay, they're already playing, they're already excited. Okay, this is just the conclusion, and it is just a little bit about that song that we're going to listen to, the final video montage that ends this memorial. This was a song that came about because we were part of a performance as a Singapore group for Swami's 80th birthday, and the gurus, the young adults, everybody had come together and put together the song. It is it's called a Deke Barat. Deke Barat is a Malay cultural song, dance, performance. And we had put it together. And of course, we stole all the lyrics from all the English songs and everything. We put it together. But it was such a process from Swami. Everything that we do with Swami, right, it's a process. And he taught us so many things. And wonderfully, Auntie's son, Naresh, was also one of the singers in that song. Brother Prem, a few others, and the brothers had the opportunity to go and perform in front of Swami as part of the play, and there were like 50 young adults, 50 students, male students as well as adults who took part in this, and that song was very meaningful to so many of us. And why am I saying this? Because this song, Brother Sundar, during the second the day before Auntie passed on, the evening before Auntie passed on, he actually went to her. She was in the hospital lying there, and he spoke a few words, and then he started singing the chorus of this song. And when he sang the chorus, is the chorus on the screen? No. Okay, it is Swami, Swami, we love you so. Bhagavan Baba, you mean so much to us. You are a guide and protector. You are a mother and father as well. Please end the line after that, I can't remember. That most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend. That song, that chorus Sundar sang. And Auntie, in all that state, mouthed those words. Because Auntie is always tuned to Swami. And I think that's the most beautiful part. So I'm so sorry I'm crying, but I needed to say this. And so we listen and watch and enjoy this final video montage. Jai Sai Ram.
Welcome, welcome, sweet Lord Sai, brothers, sisters, Sai Ram to everyone. Lord, with your grace and blessings, we have come here on this holy day to be with you on your 80th birthday. Swami, Swami, we love you so. Bhagavan Baba, you mean so much to us. You are our guide and protector. You are our mother and father as well. But most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend. Joining hands in unity, surrender to the Sai in you and me. And in our work together, we have found there is so much energy. The Swami says unity is divinity. Swami, Swami, we love you so. Bhagavan Baba, you mean so much to us. You are our guide and protector. You are our mother and father as well. But most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend. Being here is a dream come true. Oh, dearest Lord, we owe it all to you. We lay our lives before you, our Savior so divine. We give you all our love till the end of time. Swami, Swami, we love you so. Bhagavan Baba, you mean so much to us. You are our guide and protector. You are our mother and father as well. But most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend. But most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend. Welcome, welcome, sweet Lord Sai. Brothers, sisters, Sai Ram to everyone. Lord, with your grace and blessings, we have come here on this holy day to be with you on your 80th birthday. Swami, Swami, we love you so. Bhagavan Baba, you mean so much to us. You are our guide and protector. You are our mother have found there is so much energy. As Swami says, unity is divinity. Swami, Swami, we love you so. Bhagavan Baba, you mean so much to us. You are our guide and protector. You are our mother and father as well. But most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend. Being here is a dream come true. Oh dearest Lord, we owe it all to you. We lay our lives before you, our Savior so divine. We give you all our love till the end of time. Swami, Swami, we love you so. Bhagavan Baba, you mean so much to us. You are our guide and protector. You are our mother and father as well. But most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend. But most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend. Swami, Swami, we love you so. Bhagavan Baba, you mean so much to us. You are our guide and protector. You are our mother and father as well. But most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend. But most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend. But most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend. But most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend. But most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend. But most of all, you are our nearest, dearest friend.
65 years of Auntie Vasantha.
65 glorious years.
And if you would like to say anything to your fans,
Say that again?
say something to your fans.
To my fans,
Yeah.
have a lovely day because I'm going to enjoy my tea now.
What a great song, what a great video, and what a great celebration. Thank you very much, dear Vasantha. Sister Vasantha is the embodiment of love all, serve all. And now, let's all observe a minute of silence in her honor and in her celebration. Thank you, everyone. Dear Sister Vasantha, there are no goodbyes for us. Wherever you are, you will live on in all our hearts forever. Thank you, everyone. Sai Ram.